Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
cool. Thank you. So, quickly, I want to start with this. In South Africa, there is a lot of individuals who are unemployed. In fact, where I went to school and I stayed here for quite some time is a place called Tembisa. Tembisa is one of the biggest townships in South Africa, with a population of about 400,000 people. And last year's unemployment statistic was about 34.5%. And with the recent COVID, my prediction is this number is going to go high. It's going to go really up. Due to the fact that people lost jobs, a lot of people are not working anymore. Now, what we've started seeing is a lot of people have started taking waste management as a way of making a living. In fact, in Joburg alone, there's about 60,000 individuals who are using waste management to make a living. And as you can see on this picture, they have these man-made trolleys that they've done using, old ironing boards and a few wheels that they buy to really push around this weight. And this is really hard work. But for me, I think my interest in waste started some years ago in 2015. So when I came to Tembisa from my village, because I'm a village boy and I spend most of my time in the village, and then I moved to Tembisa, which is a township. I thought and saw how waste could be used in a really interesting way. And the first idea that came to mind was, why don't you make new stuff out of waste? So in 2015, I started making clothes out of waste. As you can see, the bag that I'm wearing, the jacket, the hat as well, all that is made from waste. But then I realized that this isn't really impactful. There's a huge disconnection between what I'm doing and true impact. And so I then later decided to directly work with these informal waste pickers, where I go to them and I engage with them and I try and understand the challenges that they're having. And I realized that maybe I can quickly help them with logistics. So the picture I just showed, there was an individual who was pulling waste. And that's a lot of work and that's hard. So I thought of creating a bicycle for these individuals so that I could then give to them, and they would then kind of use this bicycle to drive around, to ride around in collecting their waste. But there's a lot of regulatory issues with that. So we wanted to put a motor on the bicycle, and according to the Joburg regulatory department for roads, they said if you put a motor on a bicycle, that is classified as a vehicle, and so people riding that bicycle need to have licenses. So there was a lot of challenges, and it then led me to what we do today in Kudoti, which throughout, we've realized the different challenges, right? So the first one was the inefficiencies that are caused by non-digital processes. That is to say that a lot of people in this industry are still using paper-based processes. So, transaction would be mostly written in a book like this. There's a lot of operational silos as well. So people aren't working in a collaborative way. And as we know, collaboration is one of the really interesting attributes for exponential organizations. And so there's a lot of silos in this industry, and it's disconnected. But more so, there's only 4% of waste that's being recycled in the African continent. So, from Egypt to South Africa, there is literally 4% of municipal solid waste that gets recycled. So a whopping 96% of all the waste produced in the African continent goes unrecycled. And we lose something ridiculous, like $8 billion every single year through the material value that is lost when we're not recycling. And so what Kudoti is the first scalable digital platform for increasing efficiency and profitability in recycling within the African continent. And we do, in response to the challenges I mentioned earlier, we do the following three things. The first thing is we provide some form of transparency where we look at waste data, and this could be like what type of data, what type of waste is it, you know, who's collecting the waste, when is it being collected, where is it. That's the first part. The second part is we then build this interconnectedness feature where we bring different people together into this single platform. This could be from collectors all the way to processors. And lastly, we just really want to help people with high margins as well as lowering their cost. And for me, what really excites me is the fact that we are able to work with these 4 different key stakeholders within the value chain. You know, we work with logistics providers, we work with waste collectors, waste processors, as well as collection points. And if I were to sum up the work that we do in 4 words, it would be interconnectedness, because we then connect these individuals together. It would be optimization, because we look into their operations and we say, how can we help you in your operations? It will be data collection, because within the recycling industry, data lacks. There is no mechanism to collect data. And then it would be digitization, lastly. Quickly, this might be a little bit irrelevant, but normally when I present the work that we do, people would normally say, you know, so how do you guys make money? And we do that, and I shared this because I think it's really exciting. Firstly, we have a kind of a monthly subscription model where we just have people subscribing to what we do. And this is mostly around digitization and optimization of operations. And we collect data there. But what's interesting is once data is collected, we then push this data into a marketplace. And we are still now building this marketplace. And this marketplace is going to be an opportunity for different stakeholders to come and firstly list the type of waste that they have, right? And then other stakeholders could buy the different waste on this marketplace. Now that does 2 things. Firstly, it gives the guy on the road an opportunity and a doorway towards this many different buyers that are willing to pay a much higher price than on average. But also it gives people who have a need waste an opportunity to get access to a variety of waste on the ground. And of course, we then look at, you know, collectors, waste cyclists, and so on. I wanted to share this as well because I think it's quite important to look at the whole African continent and not just a single country. So we have 2 currently pilots that are active, and it's paid pilots, one in South Africa and the other one in Uganda, in Kampala. And we have 5 further pilots that we are doing in 6 African countries. And that for me is really exciting. And all of these different projects are ran slightly different. I think what's interesting about the work that we do is the fact that we're able to customize the solution much better. Quickly, again, this might not really be relevant, but this is just the overview of the market, and this is just South Africa. So the opportunity to really go into this market is really massive for us. Yeah, this is just us, the team. I am here sharing with you guys what we do. We have a press, we have Matthew, we have Kola. The reason I included this slide is because every single face you see on the screen comes from a different country. So Kola is from Nigeria. Matthew is half French, half American. So he's currently in Paris. I'm from South Africa. Press is Indian. And I share this because I think although we're from different backgrounds and different environments, the challenge that we're working on, which is waste, has proven to be a global challenge, has proven to be a challenge that no matter where you come from, you see and experience this challenge. And so it's really interesting really to be on our Zoom meetings because you have 4 different accents. It almost sounds like you're watching 2 different movies at the same time. But yeah, I'm just going to end it there and then maybe open it up for questions if there's any.
Thank you so much. Gifts. Actually, that was really quite on time. And I open the floor now to questions. It's quite a very interesting topic, really. And I see this as a very good potential for Africa, you know. So, do we have questions? Rashid, you want to go first? Yeah. You are muted, Rashid,
I think you.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll let the other participants ask questions. I'm sure some of you have questions for Gift. We listen to you. No questions? Okay. Okay. So
I'm sure Tunde asked question.
Yeah. I was.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, Tunde.
Hello to everyone. Hello.
Hi, Tunde.
Hello. Okay, so probably you have heard about the Nexus initiative, which is open right now for Europe and Africa. The Nexus incorporating waste, food, energy, and water. In that perspectives, I think that if we are thinking on some new initiatives and collaboration and ecosystem, this is very important to think to the circular economy. So what is your strategy related to the circular economy, as the linear economies doesn't strong, or there is no sense to talk more about the linear economy. So what is your strategy about the circular economy in your company strategy?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So by definition, a circular economy is how long you can keep a material within the value chain. So you shouldn't use something once and then throw it away. And that's not a circular economy. Or you shouldn't use something and then kind of throw it to like a landfill, you know, or send it to being processed. And for us, what we've realized is people are not even able to measure what they have versus what needs to be, I guess, put back into the value chain, because there's no data. So people or different organizations don't have visibility of what's happening. And for us, you can't be claiming to be, you know, a circular economy organization while you don't understand how much waste is being produced, how much waste is being recycled, if there is any waste being recycled, right? So I think, in my opinion, the first step in getting to a circular economy is to have visibility of what's happening throughout. And we come in right there to provide different organizations a chance to collect data that was previously hard to collect in environments where there's little to zero technological infrastructure. So the project that we're doing in Uganda, for an example, we're working with stakeholders that, first of all, aren't too technologically savvy. So they don't really know, like the ins and outs of technology, but also they don't have smartphones. And that was a really painful learning for us, because we had initially built something that requires a smartphone, but we quickly realized that people don't have smartphones. Although the mobile penetration rate is growing, people still don't have smartphones. We're out here speaking about exponential technology, but they don't have smartphones. So we then build our solution to incorporate an SMS feature where people are able to use our solution through the use of SMS. And it's really easy, right? It's really easy. It needs a few characters because every cent matters for these guys. Now, if we are able to tap into environments, informal environments that previously people couldn't tap into, we would start and be able to collect data, particularly from waste, that could then be used to see what's going on, so that we could properly encourage and build a digital infrastructure or a digital foundation for a much more circular economy. So, a circular economy would involve people, say for an example, taking waste or plastic waste and then converting it into plastic pellets, but then taking those plastic pellets and converting them into something else. They could either be converting it into, a new set of bricks, or they could use those plastic pellets to then create concrete that is going to be used to build tar roads, or they could take that plastic and create it or make fuel. All these different cases are currently happening. and they're happening in South Africa, they're happening in many parts of the African continent, as well as the BRICS nation. People are taking plastic, they're making bricks, they're taking plastic, they're using it for construction, they're taking plastic, and they're making even, fuel, for an example. But we will not be able to get there if we don't know how much is there if we don't know how much waste goes to where. And for us, that is the strategy of how we are continually promoting and encouraging a more circular economy.
And
I think I am sorry.
Yeah.
I think that that was a brilliant answer.
Yes.
Because we have two key words related to the potential solution. One is the customer orientation.
Right.
This is very, very important, which was absolutely not important in case of the linear economy before. So the customer concentration. Yeah. And the second element is how we can use the digital technologies the best, and how we can develop any app by the low cost solution, because of course that there are two main issues. One is the internet connection, how the internet can be achieved, or how the people in the rural areas can surfing on the internet. Especially in Africa, and also, and the second is how the ICT solutions, mainly not the web-based, but the mobile-based solution can serve the collection of the data, so a kind of the data center about the waste. So you touched all the two more important points. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure. I think you're right, because we would never have been able to create this if we didn't go and immerse ourselves in the daily lives of these individuals. So in Joburg alone, we went and interviewed about 120 of these guys on the ground. So people who are operating within the informal waste sector. And this included the waste pickers, it included the processors, it included companies working with these individuals to come collect waste. And we realized, you mentioned internet and people not having access to the internet. Even if you do have a smartphone, there's an issue of data, which is expensive. There's an issue of airtime as well, which is expensive. And when you are in an informal market, every single cent counts. So if there's a solution that is being introduced in your operation, and that solution forces you to then still spend more money, chances are you're not gonna do it. Because what they currently have, the systems that they currently have, they work, but they're not inefficient. But they would rather choose a system that works, that is not efficient, versus a system that is efficient and works, but it costs more. They would rather choose this one. And so I think it's quite interesting what you mentioned.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I think we take the next speaker now, Rashid.
Yes, I would like to ask just a question to Gift. I find it very interesting that you guys are able to integrate a solution to two very important problems. One is the supply chain optimization in waste management, and the other is the marketplace in terms of dealing with the products of this waste processing to create a market. And my question is, do you have any project about creating specific marketplace to specific value chain, waste value chain? Let's say, for instance, you have some organic waste that is transformed into compost. Is there any project to build specific application that will be plugged on your platform for this specific value chain? And that's the same question about all other value chain that are based on waste processing. That's the first part of the question. And the second part is, do you have projects about integrating your platform with other platforms in other continents? Because there are marketplaces in other continents. Is there any project to integrate your platform with other continents to create intercontinental value chains?
Yeah, those are really interesting questions. So firstly, your question about a specific value chain. So with the marketplace, we're still testing the idea, but there's a project that we're currently working on that is going to start looking at food waste as the first step. And what's interesting is the marketplace would firstly serve as this platform where when different organizations have food, they could essentially put them on the marketplace. And they're doing two things. Firstly, it's food waste. So people who want food waste, either taking it and turning it into compost, or they're turning it into fuel as well, because there is certain type of food waste, particularly agricultural food waste, that you can convert into some form of fuel. So people, firstly, they will be able to go on this marketplace and see that, oh yeah, there's food waste here, I would like to get them. But the second part, and this is the main objective, it is so that when food waste is on this marketplace, it's not thrown away. It's actually diverted to organizations that are looking for food. So it's then going to be converted into donations. So if there are certain food, for example, in retail that have expired, according to retailers, if something has expired, it automatically means it's waste. So a lot of food from retail essentially is thrown away. But expiring doesn't mean it's bad, right? So if the food has expired, it doesn't mean that food is bad and it's bad for your health. In fact, especially organic food, your fruits and whatever, if they've expired, they're too ripe, right? And the idea would then to look, obviously, to say, okay, this thing has expired, 2 days, 3 days ago, and we know how much it is. Can we convert it to this particular donor or to this particular organization, and we feed them? So that's one part of a specific value chain that we are testing the marketplace on. But we're not limited to that. What we want to do is build an engine that enables different stakeholders to come in and list their different offers. We might have to change, a few things. How you do food waste is different to how you do solid waste. And so we are going per project. If we get a project that wants us to essentially incorporate a huge stakeholder that deals with a specific thing, then we will onboard them, and we kind of then build certain features to really help them achieve their objective. Your second question around integration is quite interesting. In fact, we know how difficult it is to introduce a new system in an operation. I particularly worked for one of the leading telecommunications companies in South Africa as a research engineer, and changing a system took us 2 months. Changing an entire system in an organization took us 2 months. And we don't want to go through that in Kudoti. So what we do is we preach integration. So there are systems already out there that work. Some systems aren't too advanced. Some systems is just like a huge Excel spreadsheet that organizations have been using, and they call that a system of their own. But there's data, there's really good, credible data that has been collected over the years. And what we then want to do is simply plug that into our platform and use it. So right now we have several KPIs. We've noticed that some of our clients have been using, applications like SAP. Marvin is here, so he probably knows that in SAP there might be some waste companies that are using SAP in their operation. They're using systems like Sage as well to run their operations, and these systems work. But these systems were not built specifically. They were not built specifically for the waste industry, and so although they work, there are some features that can't be used in a waste operation. And for us, we then come in and say, well, you don't have to throw away this system that you guys have already invested a lot of money in. What you just have to do is integrate it with our platform. And then by doing so, you are just able to continue doing what we're doing and get more value add.
Okay, thank you.